Hey, look, man. Welcome back to another episode of Mic Check, man. And I will honestly say I really look forward to just connecting with these guys, man. And also, man, I can't lie either. With the feedback that we've been getting from you guys as well has been pretty solid from you as watchers. So one, we appreciate it. We hear you, and we bring most of that back as well. And we actually throwing some of these into the questions that we're going to be asking and talking about in terms of our conversations. But just to get everything going, if there's any first time watchers, what is this table? This table for Mic Check. Mic Check is men in conversations. You're going to get different perspectives. You're going to get different outlooks and different points of feedback from each one of us. Four guys, four different perspectives, four different lifestyles, and for the most part, four different upbringings. So we're looking forward to sharing our piece. And as we continue to share this information with you, we're also learning about ourselves and each other along the way. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my man, Doc, to get us rolling off.
Let's go ahead and get it cracking, fellas. Hot topic today, man. We got a lot to unpack. Today's title, which will be, having some questions answered from, the Success Ain't Healing. How men chase achievement to avoid themselves. That's heavy in itself. I'll go ahead and just tap into, just like the first question that we received here, and hopefully we can just provide a lot of color to this. So we're gonna set the tone real quick, fellas. When is the last time you hit a goal and still felt empty? That's a heavy one.
Yeah, it is. We set goals, and for one, I think we find a temporary fulfillment. But I think after that temporary kick, I'll say, man, I think when I'm gonna just keep it straightforward with the gym, working out. A couple years ago, at least, when I was doing CrossFit, man, one, I loved CrossFit, but I was also trying to like cut down in terms of weight. I know where I was. I think at the time I was roughly 270, but I was trying to get down to something that I didn't really know what I was getting to. But just to see the difference was pretty dope for me in general. But I will say, I think with me seeing that difference, I didn't necessarily know what I was trying to get to. But me cutting down was cool, but I'm like, dang, let's continue to do more. Let's continue to do more. But it kind of got me to this point where I'm thinking mentally like, bro, you don't really have a target. What is your target? And I think sometimes you kind of shoot for something that's just not there. And I think that's what I was doing. So I'll say that, yes, my goal was to cut, but then from there, my goals continue to kind of like move further. And I think for me, I didn't necessarily give myself time to celebrate the small wins of getting to what I thought was a goal, because I'm always shooting and striving for the other one, more so for the next one. And I think for me, I've adapted and tried my best to learn to, shoot for small goals and then reward yourself from there. So that's for me.
No, I could piggyback off of that a little bit, because I think that perspective is similar to like where I was probably going to lead into with my answer to this. But I think like, to answer the question holistically here, honestly, I don't know if I could think of a time where I had a goal that I hit that I felt empty immediately. I think over time maybe, but not immediately. I think I believe it could be in contribution to like society today. Like I think we tapped into this in our previous episodes as far as like how nowadays things are like very much microwavable, quick and fast, accessible, and things like that.
Right.
To the point where you really can't, I think, to what you was getting to, DB, it's like you can't soak in your achievement too long before you have the urge, or life happens and the journey to achieve another thing kicks in. And so I think the emptiness comes in when it's like I feel like I can't like adequately enjoy what I just achieved to the fullest. When that happens, I think consecutively at that, you start to feel robotic in a sense. I think
Right.
so meaning, and it's like another thing, quote unquote, right? And you're not even like humble at that point. You're just numb. So people like to mask it with like, yo, I'm just humble. I'm just sitting back. Yo, I know I did that thing, whatever. But it's like a numbing feeling, because you just got another task that's about to hit your desk, and you got to continue on. You can't really like, really reward yourself and soak in it a little bit longer. So I think for me in itself, the emptiness comes in when I can't really focus on that thing that I really just achieved, whether big or small. It could be, but it could be something that's very large. It could be something that's like, yo, I've been dreaming about this, but how things are shaped right now and how things are so fast paced, it comes a point in time to where it's just like, man, I can't even focus on that right now, or unless I'm going to be behind the eight ball. And it's crazy to think about and have that mindset, but that's where emptiness, lies for me in that situation for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly can't say, just like Doc, that I can remember a time that I've personally experienced that, where I'm feeling empty after accomplishing something. But, my heart goes out to those who have, or anyone who has been in that space or who consistently ends up in that space, because it says a lot to accomplish a goal while still not feeling 100% whole, right? So that means that even in your emptiness, you still showed up and you deserve some grace. So give yourself some grace if you're somebody that struggles with that.
Facts.
Yeah, I think that says a lot too, Zach, because I think we just, I don't know if it's, and this might not even be specific to just men, right? Just people in general. We're always looking to shoot for something different or shoot for that next thing, and it's a temporary thing. But the grace piece is literally sulking in what you were shooting for, trying your best to soak in it at least,
Absolutely.
and take that in. So that's huge, bro. I like that.
Yeah, I'll answer that question, Doc. So I feel like within the past 2 months, I stepped into a new role at work, and going into my profession, I've been in for a total of 9 years now as of August 1st. And so I pretty much did just about everything you can do. And so it was to the point where it's like, what am I going to do? You know, do I put in for this next promotional process? For a long time, I just wanted to just worry about myself. I never thought about being a supervisor. I never really cared to be a supervisor, but I know I have that leadership aspect within me, and I know I can be a good leader. I am a good leader. I feel like leaders are born. You can teach somebody to lead, but if you're a true leader, you're born with that leadership mentality. You know, I say that to say this. You know, there comes a time where you have to, especially stepping into this role, where it's more about the people that I got working under me now, and it's not so much of me now, because I've always been selfish, and I think that's because I'm the only child. I've always been selfish, and in the sense of I was just thinking about looking out for Josh and not trying to look out for everybody else. Now, of course, I'm a team player, but now in this new role that I'm in, I have to put myself to the back burner, and it's all about my people. You know, they make me look good, and I'm proud of my people that work for me, because any type of gratification that I get is because of them. And I try my best to lead them to the best of my abilities. And, you know, that's the thing. And I felt a rewarding calmness that came over me when I found like I got promoted. I remember me and my mom went out to eat, and on the way to the restaurant, man, I got kind of teary-eyed because I was just like, man, I'm really proud of myself. Felt like I did good during the promotional process, but I wasn't for sure. But I felt like I killed it. But then again, there's always that other side was like, well, maybe I didn't answer that question right. Maybe I didn't do this. Maybe I didn't do that. You know, you second guess yourself. But once I found like I got promoted and I came in number one, amongst others, and there were some good candidates that went for it too. But I'm just like, you know, this was for me. You know, I had plenty of other times to promote. You know, and I bypassed that. You know, I just was focused on myself. When I sat back and thought about like, hey man, I can really do this. You know, it's not hard. But for those out there that are thinking about, you know, leveling up in their career or their profession, you know, be optimistic about it. But you can do it. You have to have that faith in yourself, and that'll lead you the whole way.
You know, I think you spoke heavy on a couple points, Josh, but I'm gonna say that the two that I think stood out the most is the one is you're a leader, you're a people leader, and you seeing other people grow. I think it's so funny because I feel like outwardly it's dope to be able to not have that emptiness after success hits. And I mean outwardly, like just not just for self, but outside. I think being a leader, I know our last episode was about leadership in general, so not trying to like muddle the conversation, but when you're a leader and you see the people that report into you continue to grow or get to a successful point, you remember that. And for you, that literally keeps you whole too. Right. But also the fact of like, this is for me. That was the second piece you said. And you know how many people get like buyer's remorse or they get success regret? Yeah. Because if you go against like some dope, strong candidates and you get it, you like, dang, like, so-and-so should have got this. Right. Don't have that. Don't try. I think, and even for me, sometimes I had this before, was like buyer's remorse, but more so like success regret, where I got promoted and I'm like, damn, like actually so-and-so should have got this over, you know, they was a strong candidate. Nah, this is for me is a huge piece, because it's like, you need to have that for you and be happy that we're not, the odds are already against us. And I think that, you know, continuing to defy the odds in that space is enough to get an applaud. And I think that, and I know we hit on this before too, it's good to have people around you to call out some of your successful things that happen to you in your life, because sometimes you forget where to applaud, and you may forget, you know, and that's where that emptiness comes too. Like I told you, I think on, you know, one of the episodes, I told you that one of my guys called me out about certain things, and I'm like, bro, you right. Like I had to sit back and kind of like take that in, because I'm like, bro, I never really gave myself the kudos for doing that. And I think that us just not being killed by now, us not being in jail by now, us not being in a space where we like super struggling right now is enough for us to be able to applaud ourselves in
Oh,
general.
yeah,
Absolutely.
for
I
sure.
think it goes into. I like the perspective you had on that, Josh. I'm also a manager in my working space as well, and I think like when we look at achievement, I think this question that I raised is broad, but when I raised the question, I was thinking about my personal achievement. But I think you brought up something as far as like being a leader and being a manager, a supervisor. Achievement could come from like the people who you're managing as well, and that fulfillment that you get in satisfaction. You know, will fill that void of any emptiness that you might feel personally that you're doing wrong or you didn't live up
Correct.
to that expectation, whatever the case may be. To your point, DB, as well, like outside of like friends, family, and things like that, or people who you expect to say certain things like that to lift you up when you down, I think too, my team does a good job, man, of like, being like, yo, like I really appreciate you, as a manager and this, that, and the third. So even when I feel like I'm dropping a ball, I'm not doing the best job or whatever, or I'm hitting a goal, but I could have did better. It's like, and I may feel empty. I think they feel that void a lot. So I appreciate that perspective because it could be a personal achievement or it could be an achievement that you did as a collective. You know what I'm saying? And it hits the same. I think is very well like equally important. So, yeah, I think that's all good
Absolutely.
perspective, fellas, for sure. And I think it kind of goes into the other question that I have as well, to where when we talk about like when achievement fails to heal, like how do you know when you're actually chasing a goal for validation and not fulfillment? You know what I mean? Like, what is that differentiating factor for you all that allows y'all to know, like, yo, this goal or this thing that I'm aspiring to get to and achieve, it's more so for validation that I'm seeking, not necessarily for fulfillment.
Man, sometimes, man, I think it's about the validation piece, proving somebody wrong. I think, you hear a lot of people in the NFL today even say, man, my teacher told me that I was be locked up or
Very
dead.
true.
So,
Very true.
da 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 da. Bro, that's validation. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a piece of fulfillment too. I think they actually kind of go hand in hand in a sense, but the validation piece is that I'm finna really show you wherever you thought I was destined to go, I'm going in the opposite direction. One, the percentage of people even getting into the league is very low. It's like maybe 2%, 3% in the NFL,
That's
if not lower
validating
than
enough.
that.
Yeah.
That's enough. But you'd be surprised how many people still are not fulfilled
Right.
after being in the league. Like they got there. So I really think sometimes it is about the validation piece specific. And I think that how do you know that you're there for validation is literally how you feel at the end of the day of being in that space in terms of that promotion move. I mean, bro, there's so many people that got promoted before and they're like, bro, I actually want to step back. I want to step back from a role. It was cool. It was good. The money good. But I can't do all of this, and this.
Right. Not
So
really taking inventory of what it all entails, whatever
exactly.
thing is. Absolutely.
Right. Right. So I think that I think that's how you know. And then from there, I mean, even going back to Josh's story, I don't think this is it for Josh. I mean, even kind of like hearing how he talks about work. And I talked to all of y'all about work, and I feel like just hearing about your stories about work, I don't think that's it. Even for me, I don't think this is my stop in terms of like my career. So I think for me, I'm actually getting fulfillment out of this, out of like being a leader in general. And not even just at work, man, even at home, bro. I get fulfillment out of my kids,
Right.
And again, it's validation too, because when I see them doing their thing, I'm like, bro, that's dope. But I'm so fulfilled, bro, that I think that joint just hit different. And it's both for me in that sense, with my kids and my family.
That makes sense.
No, I agree with you, DB. It's how you feel when it's all over.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead,
Having
Zach.
that validation and, the fulfillment is one thing, man. I think the ultimate thing that a lot of people truly struggle with is just believing in themselves and understanding and accepting that you are enough and you can do it. So even if you tried your best or you tried your best to be a parent, Derek talked about when he sees his children. So all to our viewers out there who have kids, so you can try your best and do everything you got to do, no matter what in that space or in the situation, whether it's work or not. Josh, hit on it, how you feel in the end. Knowing that you put your best foot forward, I think that's the key to my validation. Like knowing that I'm going in this space, pushing myself. And I might be pushing myself for my family, I might be pushing myself for my spouse, but the first person that I push for is myself. So that self-validation's you gotta sometimes tell yourself you got the job before you go into the interview.
Yeah.
If you don't
correct.
get that job, that's their
correct.
loss. at what's meant for you. So what's meant for you is going to always be for you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
I think even with like just chasing the validation, for me, it's like four things that stands out. One is gonna be like an external focus, like just like how people see you when you achieve a certain milestone. When you continue to get promotions, and somebody's like, "Yo, again," like you kind of get a rush off of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one that's like it's kind of like you chasing validation in that point, but really like how am I feeling? Another is like if I just got promoted, now I'm already thinking about my next promotion. You know, that's another one. And then even then, like the comparison piece, it's so many people around you that are strong and doing anything, whether they below or matching your level. But you compare yourself a lot, and also like the fear of judgment. Like if you don't get it, do you care about what people think? And I feel like a lot of those are traits of like signs of validation in a sense, but yeah, I think just the fulfillment piece is what I'm trying to chase in general. I mean, it ain't even about a position no more.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel that, and I think like I agree wholeheartedly with all of that, fellas. I think for our viewers, for us in the room, I think it's okay for it to start with validation. I think like it's totally fine for that because essentially like even to your point, DB, of like in the sports world to where you may have that teacher, not even really just sports, but we hear it more in that realm or in that industry. To where it's like, you have this teacher, you have even family members or friends who, really hating on you. It's just like, nah, man, I know where you come from. I know what environment you was brought up in. You not making it to that. Like, change that goal, change that dream, whatever. It is validating to kickstart off that goal, with like that self-motivation to say, you know what, I'm going to prove this person wrong. So that's where I'm coming from when I say like it's okay to start off that way. I think also, though, if it stays within that level of validation, I think that's where it creeps in of just like, okay, I'm going to always seek this level of like external praise. If in a sense, I'm always going to, put myself in a position to where I have to publicize every achievement that I make or whatever the case may be. And on the contrary, I really think like when things are fulfillment based, it's authentic, man. And I think it's just like a level of inspiration, that you get, just from doing that. I think I also go back to our first question where we talked about the emptiness and like soaking in that a little bit more, having a chance to really like self-evaluate what the heck just happened, and being and understanding, the journey it took to get there. Because I think with validation, it's just like, yeah, you kind of understand it to a certain degree, but a level of fulfillment, I think, is a deeper mental capacity that you tap into with yourself to where you understand the journey that which it took you to get to that place, that promised land.
Right.
And once you
Right.
have that and you have that blueprint, I mean, you're really unstoppable at that point in time. You don't have to have someone kickstart your self-motivation. You don't have to have that person say you can't do it in order for you to go achieve whatever that thing is you want to do. At that point, it's just
Right.
like, nah, I know how to do it. I've been
Yeah.
there. Appreciate you, for allowing me to figure this out for myself and knowing that I can do this, but now I got it from here. And so that's kind of how I
Right.
look at it. It's okay to start off with validation, but I think really tap into the journey that you endured. You know what I'm saying? So you can use that as a blueprint, not even for yourself, but as we talk about kids, as we talk about even our partners, you know what I'm saying? Because they have aspirations as well, and family members and friends. I think you can do that based on how you live your life from that point on. So I appreciate that perspective, man. I think that's just my thoughts on that. Any other thoughts that we have on that? I mean, we have some other questions too, but if we need to pause on this a little bit, I'm
I
happy to
think
do
we,
that too.
I think you tapped
Yeah,
into
we can
something
unpack a
really,
little more.
Doc, is one like you said. It doesn't have to be a teacher. It can be a family member. It can be a spouse
Right.
sometimes, man.
Right, right.
And that's typically just projection, though. Somebody is projecting their own insecurity onto you, and it puts you in that space of having to now prove them wrong or not prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Because some
Yeah.
people, I consider myself sometimes just put myself in a space too. I don't need the outside world to experience what I've accomplished. Sometimes you got to sulk and accept that win by yourself. Have those
Yeah.
alone conversations and say, you did that. Because sometimes when you put things out there in the universe, everybody ain't going to be happy for you. So Derek talks
Yeah.
about
That will.
again, that's projection. He's
Praying
saying
on my
again because
downfall.
he ain't got
Yeah,
one
yeah.
yet. She ain't got one yet.
For
I
sure.
think sometimes you got to realize when that projection is in the equation, it's okay to be able to celebrate amongst yourself and you yourself alone. It doesn't
That's
have
a
to
very
always
good
be
point.
recognized by the world, because we're in a space where social media has put us in this realm of like, I got to tell the world I'm engaged. Remember when Facebook was
Got
like,
to.
so and so in a relationship with Bobby
Yeah,
Lee?
yeah.
You could have just kept it to yourself.
No,
But
word.
somebody wanted to be validated because they knew Tasha wanted Bobby Lee, but I got Bobby Lee now.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those
Bobby Lee is
situations where I feel like
Hey,
Bobby Lee,
Bobby Lee is very wild, bro.
very well. Could have been Willie Mae.
And the thing about that is, you say you don't want nobody in your business, and I'm 50-50 because I feel like social media can some relationships can sustain
Yeah,
social media and some can't.
Some
yeah,
can't.
Yeah.
But if you got this man or the man got this girl and you all posting her this and that, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden it stops. Now everybody knows y'all not together or there's trouble.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But they putting the pictures in the archives.
yeah.
You
You
see
know,
such and such on she off his wall. They must not be together no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You invite that, and then that's when Johnny Ray gonna try to slide. And
Johnny
like,
Ray,
hey, where y'all getting these two names from, bro?
Willie
I'm from the
Earl.
South, man. I'm from the South.
Willie.
Robert Earl,
Yeah.
Willie Earl.
Hey, sometimes, man, it's funny because because I think that's why I try my best. I won't say I don't ever, but because I know I did when I was younger, but I try my best not to push out negative energy on people in terms of like they're directional in terms of life, because I feel like that's like saying, that you can't do something. Like, Zach, you can't do that, bro. Bro, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna try to prove me wrong. And I feel like that's on me. That's not really on you. I feel like
Right.
I know my ego, bro. I know my ego. I mean, I know people that say you can't make 3 of these joints in a row. And if I'm finna hit 5
Yeah.
and show you, and I think that for me to even put this effort in, it's because you brought this up that I can't do it. So I'm like, I know what kind of energy I want to be around. So I feel like that kind of energy, bro, is energy that I don't want to give, because I'm gonna motivate you. I'm gonna motivate the hell out you. Even if you might not be capable of it, I'm gonna at least put that trust in you that you feel like you can go and do it.
Right.
And so I feel like, one, I'm gonna give that energy that I want to get. That's first. And two, anytime I see some energy like that, I'm not fooling with that, bro. Or I'm not entertaining it. If I really like rock with that person real heavy, I'm gonna rock with them. But I'm gonna at least not entertain that type of message, because I'm not here. Peer pressure been gone for me, and I feel like that I don't want to give that off either. So all in all, I sometimes think it's on the deliverer of the message, not the person that's executing.
Right. Yeah. You got to put yourself in a realm or space rather to outgrow that arena of where you feel like you got to prove somebody wrong. Because it's like,
Yeah.
I'll do this to you. You're going to have to show me, but I ain't about to sit here and
No word.
get in a
Yeah, I'm
combative
about to break
situation.
my neck.
I'm going to make it home, brother. You know what I mean? And if you ain't putting yourself in that
Right.
space to make me have to defend myself, that's just one example. You know what I mean? You got to
Right.
get out of your space. I said get out of your own way a couple episodes ago, but like let the bravado go, man. Whether that's
Yeah.
whoever is telling you that you can't do nothing, as long as you okay in the space that you in, prove it to who?
Mm-hmm.
Prove
Right.
what to who?
Facts.
They just projecting their insecurities on you.
And that's so crazy. That's the adjustment of life, though, bro. It's like people doing that, putting that on you. I'm like, don't feed into it.
They can't do it. Really?
Exactly.
Right. I think too, know the difference though, because like I have, we have different friend groups and things like that. I think, one of like my friend groups I would say I'm in, we go getters, man. Like, you have like a group to where it's just like, all right, you have similar interests in certain things, and then you have like a group to where it's just like straight business savvy, investment minded people and all of that stuff. And man, I love to keep company with a variety of different people, man. And I think in
Absolutely.
that space, we do come at each other a little bit, but we know that it's with love. We know that it's just like, I ultimately want to see you win, but it's that friendly competition of like, hey, look, man, like I'm about to be here. Would you get, go ahead, hey, you tapped into that certification, you tapped into and things like that, to where it's just like it kind of continues to keep you, not stagnant as well. Because yes, it's good to soak in that achievement, but it's more out here to get, man. If we're talking about generational wealth, if we're talking about, leaving your legacy and everything else. And so I think like it's definitely a fine balance that you have to play with that. Just and in me saying that, don't think that everybody has your best interest at heart. Like,
Absolutely.
definitely use your discernment and understand that it's just like, yo, this person, he or she has proven that, yo, like they mean well by what they say. That this is just our relationship that we have, with one another, to where we can speak and challenge each other to that capacity. Everybody that does that does not mean well by you. So let me just say it like that. But I just want to add that in there.
Absolutely.
Like, you could have some friends, family, even partners, who it's just like, yo, they challenge you and nudge you. Like, hey, look, man, you said you was gonna start school by X date. Like, you're a little behind 2 months, 3 months, what's going on. Like, and that's cool. Not to say that I wouldn't rebuttal and be like, shoot, you ain't graduate,
No
you ain't
word.
go to school, da da da. Like, nah, it's just like my accountability partner at that point in time. It's something I've already spoken to, and they just holding me accountable and challenge me on that. So I just want to add that piece
Right.
in there too. But cool. Nah, that is great conversation, fellas. I think the other, like, as we segue a little bit here, same topic. Folks, we talking about like success ain't healing, how men chase achievement to avoid themselves. Another kind of like sub bullet, if you will, that we have here is like success as an emotional armor, right? Have you used work or goals to dodge tough personal truths? I laugh at this one because when I seen this question, I felt like the person was speaking to me. So I could tap into this, fellas, and then if y'all want to have some time to think about your answers, feel free to do so and just kind of piggyback on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like for me, more than I would like it to, honestly. I think the most common example for me is like me and my wife may have like a disagreement. It gets heated or something like that, and I'm most likely gonna like go into overdrive on work items to the point like I'm super locked in. You know what I'm saying? A couple days go by, whatever the case may be, things still lingering. We good, but things still lingering a little bit. And, I done went above and beyond the work. Like, I didn't solve the issue that we had, but I done, masked it with a whole lot of work items of things that I've been postponing or whatever the case may be. Something I'm not proud of, something I'm working on. But I think, to have that same focus, while balancing the responsibilities of being a husband and father is what I'm trying to, have equally yoked. It's not just in that situation to where I'm just like, I'm giving everything I got at work. Honestly, man, like the way how I look at it, I do what I have to do. I have, good relationship. I work remote, by the way. And so, there's only so much you can do, in the working day. Outside of that Zoom box, if you will, there's not really a
Yeah.
lot going on. And so it's not like I can go to the cubicle, like we go get coffee together and stuff. I can really build relationships like that. And so, it's cool people. We try to sync up a couple times out the year, with my work. People, but it's not like that close connection. I guess is what I'm trying to say, to where it's like for me, I do my work and I close the laptop and I transition, take one hat off and put the dad gang, put that hat on. I need a husband one too, put that hat on. So I think that's kind of where I'm getting at with that. And I'm just trying to not have it just very much one dimensional when it comes to in this situation. When we're good and everything is fine, whether it's like with the kids, whether it's with my wife, family, and everything else, when everything is good, I'm like, you know what? I'm probably going to give X percentage, at work. They getting this from me today. We all done been there. I ain't going to say the percentage because my supervisor might watch this, but I might give that, not my best, right? But when it comes to a point to where like I'm trying to dodge a tough truth about myself or emotion, that I just don't want to deal with at that point in time, man, 150% all day at work.
Right.
Like, I'm
Right.
doing all the things, man, and I'm just trying to figure out how to structure that in one day of like the R&Rs of work manager life, father life, husband life, brother life, friend, son. Like it's tough, man. And so, some things got to get neglected. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to, kind of balance that out a little bit. But I digress. I'll pass it over to whoever, might want to answer that question.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said the work life and all that stuff has to have a balance, and I would have to say I've learned from just experiencing this firsthand with my father, may he rest in peace, and seeing how he dodged certain things and didn't address them. And he was a hard working man. Troy Law went to work every day, hand his check over. You know what I mean? But I saw him dodge some personal things that I think that he could have worked on. So honestly, for me, no, because like I said, I've seen how that's affected people firsthand, and I've seen what it does when you don't address stuff. It just creates more confusion. You can't outrun your problems or the truth, and it finds you regardless of where you are in life, whether that's in the space of being a father, whether that's in the space of being a manager or supervisor of work, whether that's in the space of being a brother, until you tap into yourself and handle what you need to fix, whether that's something internal, physically. Derek tapped on the idea of the gym, how he was tapping into himself on a physical aspect. But I think within this podcast, we tap into the mental aspect. And I think most of the time, we address the superficial. We make sure we look nice, we're well presented. We got our notes and all that stuff for our meetings. You tapped into the Zoom thing. But if you are neglecting the truth or something that is haunting you, rather, it's just like the old saying goes, man, once you come down from that high, that issue's still going to be there.
It's going to come right back. Yep.
10 times fold at that. Yeah, it's coming back further. Yeah. No, I appreciate that perspective for sure.
Now, I think for me, man, in terms of using work or just goals in general to dodge tough personal truths, yeah, man, I think to this day, I'm going to be honest, I think I still have that as a not issue or concern, but I'm gonna use issue as like that's a thing for me, because I think it's so many things that I still try my best to not think about. I mean, man, and I know I'm not the only one, right? I know I talked before about my mom passing away 5 years ago. That's still something that I think about today. Being at home, doing my thing as a father, that weighs on me. Doing my thing as a husband, that weighs on. So sometimes, bro, I think sometimes having those. And it might go back to our last question that we had about validation. Sometimes, bro, I do try to strive because I'm like, bro, let me just knock this. Let me do something good that's measurable, and I know what the result is, right? And I'm the type of person that I would put energy into it, and I like to see my results. I used to love being. I think my perfect example is when in between college, I used to work at Scott's Lawn Service, and at the top of the summer, you start with these lawns, and by the middle of the summer, after you apply whatever application you applied at the top of the summer, you get to come back and see the results of what you did. Bro, to me was such a win. I'm like, bro, this junk, ain't no weeds. The lawn look good. I'm over here talking to Mr. Festa about his lawn. I made that name up myself. That was a one name though. But
Festa Lee.
But seeing the results. Yeah, Festa Lee. Seeing the results of Festa Lee's lawn, bro, to me was such a fulfillment. But I'm like, but when I log out and I, get out of this truck, I still got more things I got to go and work on, or I got to go work with or deal with. And so for me, man, I will say that I do fall victim to trying to be busy, because you really don't know how you're doing as a father. Your kids can't tell you, right? Well, at least they can't tell me. And one of he gonna tell me straight up if he really felt like it. Yeah. But I'd be like, bro, we not talking. Don't talk to me like that, So I think for me, man, I think sometimes it is a measurable item that we kind of shoot for, that we strive for. We strive to get like the measurement piece done so that we can say, all right, cool, check box, let's go celebrate. But yeah, that's me. I think it's something I'm still kind of working on in a sense, but I don't know, bro, if that'll ever go away from me. I mean, I just like measurables in general.
Yeah. So I totally can relate to that. That's a good perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, DB. One thing about me, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna go get it. By any means necessary, I'm going to work. Speaking on the very first episode that we did, talking about our work ethic and what made us, and my father is one that led me to that. So I know when I do work a lot, I am short with certain people. I really don't want to talk as much. I'm a little closed off because work demands so much of me at work, and I have to be focused, and I have to have my head on a swivel, and with that coming home to that and being in a relationship, I could be short with my partner, or I could not, pick up where I need to pick up, or give her, pour into her as much as she need poured into because of me overworking, So, and the lack thereof, that sometimes that can affect a relationship.
Yeah.
Sure. But there's always work out there, But
oh yeah,
got to separate work from home, so.
Yeah,
I don't want us to confuse though. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't want us to confuse the idea of working and keeping ourselves busy from dodging a personal truth. And I think the aspect of a personal truth, from my perspective, is something that you personally know that you need to work on, and you utilize the work to not attack that situation. So going out there and working to our listeners and to people who are tapping into our podcast, I only want you guys to think for one bit we're saying that we are neglecting something that we need to work on personally, and just utilizing work to sort of overcompensate rather than just sitting back and fixing that issue. But yeah, so overworking can be a problem within itself. We talked about that, how the hustle can get in the way, but hustle and personal truths is two separate entities that I think we should really make a clear distinction to for our guests.
Hey, look, some people don't have those personal truths they got to deal with, or they knocking that thing out of the crib, and they terrible at work.
Right.
So I mean,
Right.
I think all of this can be. Everything needs an adjustment, bro. Everything needs a certain amount of you, all of it. And I think that as long as you putting that certain percentage into each space, and again, like I said, that's something I need to work on. But I think that's a healthy space to be in, and that's just my subjectiveness, right? But being in those spaces and being able to put a healthy amount of energy towards each one, I think that'll be huge.
I definitely feel that. And, just also understand, to our viewers as well, that when you're talking about your personal truths, like there are things that you can individually solve for yourself. Is one thing to know what they are and identifying those things. The other important thing is just to understand who can be your confidant, when you're in that space. And sometimes, I know for me, I'll speak for myself personally. Sometimes, when you consider what maybe your spouse or your partner has going on throughout the day as well, or, whoever that confidant could be for you, sometimes you do suppress, what those are, because it's just like, man, I ain't trying to overload, on what's already been a rough day or a rough week, or whatever the case may be. So I used one example earlier, but it's a lot of variations that could come into that. But I think like definitely identifying it, finding that confidence so you can speak life into it, and y'all kind of can do it together. Again, going back to that accountability partner, sometimes it's very much of a personal thing and an individual thing, but it's good to also have somebody that you can lean on in those spaces as well. So identify who that person or those persons are, and just make sure that you're getting that out there. Not be overly concerned about and considerate about like how somebody else may feel if what you're saying or your personal truth is towards that person. But I think we talked about that in a previous episode as well. So striking a balance there, putting just steps in the right direction, and putting energy and percentages on all of those roles and responsibilities will help. Yeah, great conversation, fellas, I think. And I think it really taps into like, when we talk about the inner work, when we talk about personal work, I think it leads me into just kind of like how we can shift towards the healing part of this. Success ain't healing. And so what is it essentially? What inner work, and the question here is, what inner work has been more rewarding than outer success?
Man, you know what? I think for me, bro, the inner work and this gonna be so odd to say, but the work that I end up doing, sometimes that helps me inside too, and it kind of gives me time away from whether it be the thoughts that I'm trying to get away from, or or the situation I'm trying to get away from. Man, it comes back sometimes to me where Doc, I think one of your examples was like, look, when I'm having a rough day at the house, I may go and put extra work in. Sometimes that space away and take my mind off of it for a minute, kind of gives me time to like literally think about it. And then from there, bro, I mean, I think we've all been in a situation, at least I have, and I'm gonna speak from my perspective, have been in a situation where I'm hot. I'm pissed at this point right now, right? Yeah. So I gotta get away. I don't need to be talking right now. So, but when I go and step away and I come back, bro, and me to be able to express in that mindset, in that state, is so much better than when I'm livid at that point, right? Yeah. And so I think inside, man, it's so much more rewarding for me after I calmed down. I came back and I'm like, bro, I'm actually glad that I took time away to step away and think about it and process it and see how I'm going to address this versus exploding. Because man, it's a huge difference, bro. I know it took me some time to get used to that too. I got to a point, bro, where I told my wife, this is when we were just dating. I think we were engaged at the time. I'm like, look, if I blow up again, I think you are rightful to leave me at this point. And for me, I'm like, I just gave her the green light to slide if I do that again. I better not do that again. Right. And kind of go from there. So I'm like, now I have more of a reason to not do it, because she might slide for real if I do that again. So all in all, man, I think I'm continuing to work on myself, man. And again, I know I said in the very first episode, we're a work in progress. We're a continued work in progress. And I think that, speaking of this entire episode, I applaud myself for not being the same person I was roughly 10 years ago in terms of blowing up. Like, I think all of y'all probably seen Zach, especially. He's seen me when I get pissed off, I just get quiet. Because don't make me talk if I'm hot. because I don't even know what I'm gonna do. You know, in terms of like just going off and things like that. So I'd rather just be quiet, process it, and come back. And inside, bro, that inner peace, that inner work in me feels so much better as a result of.
Man, I gotta piggyback on Derek there, man. I think, anger was something that I, had to work on. And I think therapy, for sure. We tapped on therapy a couple episodes ago. So therapy was the biggest inner work that I've done. That growth came when I removed myself from the victim's triangle, right? And for you all who don't know what the victim's triangle is, so there's a victim, there's a hero, and there's a villain. I found myself, whether it was from my mom or one of my siblings or my spouse, being pulled into that triangle and getting in that hero's complex. So I realized that, when I was trying to be that hero, helping someone that I thought was the victim, I ended up being seen as the villain a lot of times, and it's a vicious cycle. So therapy helped me break that cycle. It was a space where I had to struggle internally, where I'm really deeply rooted in wanting to help this person because I feel like they are the victim. But oftentimes we don't know both sides of the story. So I think my inner complex is just who I am. We talked about it in the other episode. Who do you see yourself as the most? I saw myself as the provider. And sometimes when you put yourself as a provider, you want to naturally be that hero. So with therapy, it sort of put me in a space of like removing myself. Sometimes people say the box, but in this context, I'm talking about the triangle. Removing myself out of that triangle and hearing both parties, hearing what is the problem from this side, what's the problem from that side, and if we can't come to a consensus, let's agree to disagree. But oftentimes I put myself in that space to be the villain, and then in turn made me go back and have that anger built up against somebody that I shouldn't even never been mad at.
That's heavy there, Zach. Man, that's totally relatable, bro. And I hope, other people can, take that and resonate with it as well. And then understanding like key takeaways from that, therapy matters. Like black men, women, therapy matters. Don't think you a
Absolutely.
psycho, whatever.
Correct.
You too good for it. They just gonna like it matters, man. Get that stuff off your chest, man. Learn more about yourself, man. I ain't gonna go too deep into that, but I appreciate your perspective as well as yours, DB. I think to answer this question as far as the inner work, what inner work rather has been more rewarding than outer success for me. I'll give a sports analogy. I think me trying to quarterback a lot of situations in my life, I tend to like scramble a lot when things get like I'm one Mississippi, two Mississippi, I'm out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going because I'm to your point, DB too. Like I don't know if you were kind of getting to this, but I'll speak for me. Like I shut down. I'm like, man, if the vibe ain't right, I'd rather shut down, before I get to a point to where and leave. Like I said, scramble right before I get to the point to where I'm gonna show my behind, and that person is ugly. And but I think sometimes too, really channeling that energy and understanding, like, man, even when the pressure comes, sometimes you gotta stay in the pocket, dog. Like you gotta stay in the pocket just a little bit longer, man, because success can come.
Fire analogy,
from that.
bro.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you gotta stay in the pocket just a little bit longer, and sometimes you will take a hit. So, and it's gonna hurt, but at the end of the day, man, you got to get out of, sometimes anyways, you got to get out of the mindset of like how I feel, how this is gonna feel towards me, versus I got hit, I got the pass off, and my man got a first down, if not a touchdown, and that could apply to your family, your spouse, your friends, your kids, whatever the case may be. So that inner work for myself, man, it was just really staying in the pocket a little bit longer, not being so fast to scramble and trying to do things myself or trying to get out of a situation that was really heating up or pressure wise. But stay in the pocket a little bit longer, man, because good things can come from that as well.
Absolutely, bro. That was tough. I like that.
I love that,
Like
dog.
Aaron Rodgers.
I want to piggyback off what you said, Doc. Like I find myself in that same position too, trying to quarterback everything, and if it doesn't go my way, then it's like that's not the right way, or
Right.
How I expect the outcome or the result to be. One thing you said about being a quarterback has progressions. If he hikes the ball and he's looking that way, that's done. He needs to go through each progression on the field if he can make that observation to see, this isn't open right here. Let's go through this progression. Let's go through this progression.
Sure.
Let's try to go through all these progressions before we start running. And, that could be used in life on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta
To
crawl
our
before you walk
listeners out.
sometimes.
if our listeners out there are listening, and those that are listening, try to go through those progressions. It might not be what it seems, but there's something good out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing, man, while you're going through this, make sure that you continue to applaud yourself too.
Yeah.
I think that's the heaviest piece. And just to kind of like wrap this thing back into success to you may look completely different than it does between myself and the three brothers on the pod. I think that the biggest thing, though, is we have to remember and remind ourselves, and again, it took me some time to get used to this, is to, one, set some small goals towards your big goal and make sure at each one of those stops, through each one of those progressions, as Josh just put it and Doc just put it, make sure that you applaud yourself for even getting to that next level. Mm-hmm. I mean, one, and look, I'm going to steal your analogy, Doc. I think just having a solid O-line is something to be proud of.
It's
You ain't getting hit,
yeah,
not yet.
yeah.
You got 5 seconds, right? Be proud of the O-line you got. And then from there, be proud of the completion that you make. You know what I'm saying? Be proud of the nickel and dime yards you're getting. But I think as long as you continue to like applaud yourself towards getting to that end goal, that touchdown won't feel endless. It won't feel effortless in a sense, and more so, you won't feel empty. Because I think the biggest thing, man, is you have to make sure that you put yourself first. That's being selfish in a sense. And I always tell people, look, be selfish with your development. But also, again, along the way, applaud yourself, man. Pat yourself on the back. Go get a shot of something. Go take a drink for saying, you got to that next level.
Right.
And don't forget that about yourself. But also don't forget to clap for the next man beside you too. I think that's the biggest thing. And sometimes we got to remind our receivers that, yo, bro, you actually I know you juggled it, but you caught it though.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing, man. And I'm gonna make sure that I reach out and I remind brothers on those calls that I make. Well, look, I ain't want nothing, but I'm just gonna remind you of the success that you made along the way.
For sure.
Right.
Look, I think this right was a fire conversation, man, as a whole.
Definitely.
Again, I think each one of these episodes get better and better each time. I enjoy and I look forward to these conversations. To me, we already know what this pod means to me, man, but I actually want to pass this one over to my man Josh in terms of like getting his perspective. I know I start the calls and I end the calls with, and if this is your first time watching, I usually start the calls and end the calls with what I think this pod is to me and what it can be for others. But I wanted somebody to verbalize. So I'm gonna pass this one to my brother Josh so that we can go ahead and close us out and throw his thoughts behind what this pod means to him.
Mic check, minute conversation, man. Just 4 guys coming together, man. Have been around each other for 4, 5, 6+ years. Knowing one another, and going through some growing pains, and have fought with one another, but at the end of the day, we're brothers.
Yeah.
We all have different views and different opinions about stuff, but at the end of the day, we're brothers, and we're black men, and we're strong black men doing things in today's time. We're not perfect. We strive to be, but we're not perfect. So we all make mistakes. But we just want to bring something to the table to our listeners so that they can get something from it. Hopefully something that we say, you can obtain something from it. You can just use it on your day-to-day life. That's pretty much mic check, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, brother. Hey, man, look, another episode is wrapped up.
Yeah.
Zach,
sir.
Man, I appreciate you, brother, for being present, being here. Your perspectives, Doc, as always, man, I appreciate yours as well, and your dope analogies. Josh, man, I appreciate you closing us out and throwing your perspective in the mix too, man. We couldn't do this without the 4 of us. More so the 3 guys that I got on the pod with me. I couldn't move without them, bro. So again, thank y'all, and I hope y'all loving this. And if y'all are loving it, make sure y'all subscribe. We're looking for the feedback. Provide the feedback to us. Let us know what you think. And from there, just to end it off, man, mic check. We're gonna close out another one. We appreciate y'all for being with us.
Take care, y'all.
Thank y'all.